Howdy all, this is Texas Gaming Industries here, and welcome back to another episode of my Let's Play of Transport Fever 2. In the previous episode, we continued to help grow the city of Topolobampo. But, however, our plan to use guano to help increase the yield of cacti didn't do so well, and we had to leave the city of Topolobampo behind. I know it was sad, but, like the French would say, that's c'est la vie, that's life. So, in this episode, we're going to continue with one of the final missions of Era 1 in the campaign before we move on into Era 2. As you may notice, I have a file name under the name Denja D Transport. This is basically a save game test on how my computer will handle the Japanese train mods along with various other mods. So, let's head down to campaign and see what our next objective is.
Mankind is constantly creating amazing new inventions. It's the dawning of the 20th century. Russia, at the turn of the century. Czar Nicolas II rules with an iron fist. Anyone who dares to be thrilled by far too dangerous ideas is summarily sent to the endless vastness of Siberia. But many are here of their own free will. Arriving from the overpopulated East, they hope for a better life. The longest railway in the world is going to make it possible.
That's because, in the title, we are helping to construct the Trans-Siberian Railway, which was the longest and basically the most grueling project in the history of the Russians. As you can see, our 3 bonus tasks are empty, but we'll be operating this area between 1899 to the beginning of the 20th century by 1904. So let's head up to Russia and help get this railway a reality.
People don't necessarily head for Siberia voluntarily. But once they're here, they soon learn to love the taiga intimately. Now, the longest railway in the world is supposed to be completed here. You head a key ministry within the Tsarist Empire. That's why the Tsar has entrusted you with this prestigious project. Greatness lies ahead. Soon it will be completed, the railway line that crosses the continent. But the most important leg is still missing. The section all around Lake Baikal, the golden clasp of the Russian belt of steel. The terrain along the lake shore is treacherous and requires meticulous preparation. Take the necessary measures so that construction can begin soon. First of all, feeder routes to the shores of Lake Baikal must be built so that supplies of materials always remain insured.
So, welcome to Russia. This is basically quite a unique challenge for us. We need to connect the railway from here all the way down to here. As you may notice, there's a special unique cargo here, simply known as war material. So we need to transport this stuff from here all the way to there. But there's no way we can basically deliver it by rail because the area where we could lay down track is forbidden to be placed in this area. And we can't build a bridge because if we tried to build a bridge, it just says prohibited area, which means we can't lay down tracks anywhere in this area. But if we try using ships, it's still the same. Oh, or not. Huh. Never knew. So a ship could just deliver the loads of munitions here. But is it possible, though? Nope. I just remember they don't have capacity or design to carry it. But our first step is to basically deliver supplies. One area requires steel, the other requires stone. But first, we need to produce some steel. Fortunately, there's a steel mill not too far from here. We'll put down a 3-track station at 240 meters. That is, if it's the correct length. No, it's 120. So we'll have to be careful on what vehicles we'll use. We'll use tracks. Well, hang on. We'll use these two tracks here for the coal and iron ore trains, while this one will be used to take the steel out to the construction site. We'll lift up the track a bit, add a switch into the siding, as well as one here, and then extend over the river. Doesn't look pretty, but we're kind of be pressed for time later on. Place down a one-track station to pick up coal, and then pick up another one here for iron ore. Alright, with that connected, we can now start laying down the track to the iron ore mine, like so. And now, we'll need to basically acquire a locomotive. But we also have to connect this to this. We need to basically connect the construction site to one of the towns. Same for this. We'll basically travel alongside the coast, well, along the side of the riverbank. And then, take a little bit of a tunnel to connect here. Once that's done, we should also connect to this. This, well, quarry could be useful. But once the tracks are completed, we probably won't need to use the train delivering the needed materials. So, let's see. Let's build a wide track and place down a siding for one of these rail depots. And of course, I can't forget about having signals. And to basically save time, let's see. Full load any. Full load any. And full load any 10 minutes. Now, let's have a look at our vehicles. As you can see, we now have access to Russian vehicles, aka Asian ones, such as the Class B, the PV, the Fairley, and the OB080, along with several other locomotives too. Now, the Fairley is basically slow, but it has a good amount of power. So, we'll basically use it for this operation of delivering both coal and iron ore. We'll purchase a pair of these. Put one of these on line 1, the other on line 2. And then acquire one of these and place down some flat cars. We'll save it. Well, we'll save the OB class once the coal and iron ore is brought to town. Like, not to town, to the steel. Jeez. Like I said, computating a plane is not as easy as you may think. Once we cross over the bridge, we'll basically, well, let's see. This is train 1, so it's going to stop, turn around at the station, and head towards the iron mine. While the other train is heading down the same track. Speaking of which, might as well place down some signals in this area too, to make it a lot easier for my trains to get to where they need to go. And as for the other side, Oh, hold on. Let's basically add another OB with several of these open-top wagons. Because it's a lot faster than the Fairley. So I think it's probably best to use a speedy engine to deliver the loads of stone to the construction site. There's our first load of coal delivered. Now, considering we're building a railway line, I don't feel like it's needed to basically start transporting passengers across the bay. So basically, well, across the river, I mean. Because of that, we're only going to be solely focusing on goods. At least for now, because there's an objective later that requires the use of buses. And here comes the iron ore train to start producing steel.
The golden clasp for the Russian belt of steel isn't called that for nothing. One day it will encircle Lake Baikal like a piece of jewelry. The construction calls for extraordinary skill, and the whole thing costs a huge pile of money. Get started on creating the first stage of the line, which will go down in history as a masterpiece in the art of engineering. Good planning is essential. The surveying work shows that two possible routes suggest themselves for the line. You have the final say.
Now, both of these just basically follow the same route. But if we use the longer construction route, it will have lower material needs. But if we use the shorter, we'll have to deliver more. Basically, since I don't want the steel mill to be overproducing, we'll basically use this to cut down on time.
Well, that's the way it should be. All that has to be done now is to have everything brought to the construction site.
Which is perfect, as now train number 3 will head towards the steel mill to pick up its load of steel once a shipment of iron ore arrives. Like I said, every bit of coal, since coal mines basically take 2 units of iron ore and 2 units of coal, they make only 1 unit of steel. So, if we can divide... Oh.
The Irkutsk Association of Sable Breeders asks for help. You're supposed to advertise the association's next meeting by announcing it loudly all over town.
Might as well.
Take a walk through town and advertise for the worthy cause of sable breeding.
Now we'll have to use passengers. At least they could build up a little bit of money. And we could transport our passengers to where they need in town. Passengers. And put it on line 5. Perfect. Now, as the train delivers its steel to the construction site, the buses will be, well, the horse-drawn wagons will take care of it. Speaking of which, the track between the iron line and the steel mill is doing great. So we have more iron ore being produced, and only one train at a time is delivering it. This needs to be fixed. Pronto. So, basically, until the track is, well, until we get another train, I'm double tracking the entirety of the route. Of course, I'm waiting for the iron ore train to make it past the signal, so we can at least be able. Oh, bother. Well, no time like the present to copy of another train. But since there's going to be more than one iron train, might as well make the train travel either on track platform 1 or 2. One of the newest things is the advanced platform selector, which you can basically choose on which platform your train's supposed to stop at. For example, if one of the platforms is blocked by another train, like, for example, on platform 3, I can basically select platforms 1 and 2 to be secondary platforms to unload or pick up goods or passengers if their designated platform is empty. So far, our buses are doing. Our horse-drawn carts are basically arriving to every stop where they need to go. We'll basically earn a little bit of cash from those buses, but the most common source of income for this map is freight. There's a whole bunch of coal at the steel works, and not enough iron ore. But thankfully, 2 trains will help break in more iron
Excellent.
ore.
The first leg has been completed. Czar Nicolas is extremely pleased. But the terrain is treacherous. A muddy quagmire in the summer, frozen solid in winter. Thanks to stable steel structures, the tracks are luckily going to stay right where they are. Nothing happens without materials. Now make sure that they are ready and waiting by the time the next leg is to be completed.
Which basically now requires the train of stone. I think I might have to basically clone another set of these trains. Jeez, it's gonna be
A group of hunting tourists from Europe is eager to shoot a bear. As luck would have it, construction work has driven off most of the bears. As for the women, they are relatives of the Tsarina herself, so a bear is an absolute must. The circus currently performing in Irkutsk has a tired old circus bear. Maybe things could work out in the end.
Might as well.
The circus wants to move on as early as tomorrow. But if a big enough audience can be organized, it might stay for an extra performance.
And the circus is basically a unique building that only appears in the campaign. Though it is available to be placed down as an industry in the game via a mod. We'll connect this street near this chapel, well, near that Russian Orthodox building, and operate a special bus service in that area. And of course, one of my trains is basically blocking the line. That's something I wasn't needing today. It isn't much, but oh, you gotta be joking. Too much curvature. Ugh.
The geopolitical situation is coming to a head. Trouble is brewing on the eastern borders of the Empire. Time is short. See to it that the route is completed in good time so that the necessary logistics infrastructure is ready if worst comes to worst. The Tsar cannot be disappointed under any circumstances. In other words, get going. Hurry up. Get everything that's needed here quickly so that the railroad is completed on time.
Now we need to transport stone and steel to their final destination. Plus, I should at least build a better passing swing here, and also place down a couple of slip switches. Now the trains will find it a lot easier to basically go around each other at the signals. Anyway, considering the track on this end is completed yet, we still need to deliver steel for one end and stone for the other.
The ringmaster is willing to hand over the tired bear to you for a supply of logs. He can use them to replace the rotten poles for the big top.
And now we have another possible profitable contract, delivering logs to the circus. we got another one.
Material is constantly disappearing from the construction sites. And just what might be the cause? There are rumors that a mysterious creature is prowling around the taiga. A well-known shaman supposedly knows what to do.
So let's have a look.
The shaman can be found on a mountain in the southeast.
And before we do that, we'll have to change the tracks from the cargo station to here. And as for the shaman, he lives in this little remote corner here.
The shaman has spoken. There's no doubt that the mysterious monster of the taiga is responsible. The only way it can be appeased is with offerings of precious jewels. The gemstones are supposed to be found on the steepest slope to the southwest.
Basically, we need to hunt down the gemstone by digging this hole.
What wonderfully rare specimens. They radiate an extremely unusual energy.
And then we'll take it back to the shaman.
The shaman was kind enough to hand over the gems to the taiga monster. He said it would be too dangerous for anyone else. Sure enough, the thing seems to be appeased. At any rate, no more material is vanishing into thin air.
Which is good. We're still waiting for the buses to finish up their advertising campaign. All the while, our trucks are our horse-drawn wagons are delivering people to the circus, and we're currently waiting for logs to be brought in. Speaking of which, I need to extend the platforms a bit. They're a little too small. Although at least one of the trucks is full of logs. Hopefully, the secondary mission won't be too long. Because now, with the steel mill fully in production, the train carrying the steel will stay there. But now we need to figure out how to transport loads of steel. We'll fill it up with a load of stone. And then, basically, we do the same train that we used before, but now with some better open-topped cars. Once that train arrives at the construction site, everything will be a-okay. Alright, steel's been dropped off. Now then, I probably may want to update its schedule a bit. It'll pick up a load here at the cargo station and deliver it up here to the construction site. And since the wagons are now going to carry stone instead of steel, I'll be deleting these and placing in some of these. The steel mill will continue to still produce steel, and will still be a good source of revenue for my company. Speaking of which, how well is my services doing? Well, my iron ore trains are doing pretty darn well in finance. Not much so for some of my others. But I could still wing it.
The hunters have departed empty-handed. The bear disappeared. Word has it that it frightened a postman and stole his bicycle. Then the bear rode off with its tongue sticking out.
Alright. Now, Once the stone is delivered to the junction, well, to the station, the stone will be transferred from there to the boat, taken across the river to this station, where it will be loaded onto this train bound for the construction site. But, however, that will be for next time. So, if you enjoyed this episode on my Let's Play Transport Fever 2, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Texas Gaming Industries for new uploads every Friday or Saturday, depending on my outside schedule. This is Texas Gaming Industries saying thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!